this is Susan Allen with the Quilt Asylum, and I want to talk to you today about rotary cutting with acrylic templates. Now, we've been hand piecing for a while, and I've done a video on hand piecing that shows how to use your templates with a pencil and a sandboard and tracing around it. But sometimes we are going to machine piece the template, or we may still be hand piecing but have a high quantity of templates that we need to cut out, or pieces that are all the same that we need to cut out, and we can cut some time by rotary cutting them. So let's look at these two templates. This one is symmetrical, so if I turn it upside down, it looks exactly the same. It is exactly the same shape, front, back, top to bottom. This piece is not symmetrical. If I flip it over, it angles in a different direction. So we need to treat how we arrange our fabric and how we cut depending on whether the template is symmetrical or not symmetrical. So let's say I'm going to cut a bunch of these templates, little petal templates, and I've got my fabrics stacked up like so. I have 4 fabrics. Let me move that. 4 fabrics stacked up, all even. Now I can put my template on top, but sometimes if the fabric is busy, I have a hard time seeing. So if it is symmetrical, I will tend to cut with my fabric wrong side up so that I can really see the edges of my template. If I were to pick up my rotary cutter, let me move that a little bit more, my rotary cutter and start cutting just like this, then I'm going to get into this really awkward position here. And that's just not a good thing. So here is my little trick. A rotating mat on the mat. What do I mean by that? I happen to have a couple of them here. There's a lot on the market. Matilda's Own makes one that is a circle. Olfa makes some very large ones. This one happens to be a Fisker's, and it's 2 pieces with a little hole, and it sits in there and it spins on a base. So this one is a Fisker's that I have. And then here is a smaller, just a smaller 6x8 Olfa mat. It will spin on your mat. I use either one interchangeably. This one tends to be a little lighter and I can just chunk it around and not have to worry about it. So let's use it first. So if I were to put my fabric, here's the outline of my little mat on my mat, and put my template on my fabric, and cut. Now, if you're going to stack layers like this, you definitely want to add a new blade. I do realize I just cut backwards, but it wasn't much of an angle. Now, if I turn this little mat, I haven't disturbed the template. I haven't disturbed the fabric. I can reset my fingers. And if you'll notice, I cut out of the fabric so I could take the bulk of it out of the way. Turn it once again. And there I have cut 4 of the same piece all at the same time. Now I can just put my little tailings on my little mat, carry it to the trash can, dump it off, and then bring it back. So if I am going to be machine piecing, I have these templates ready to go. These pieces are ready to go. I don't have to do any markings on them. They have the 1/4 inch seam allowance. The 1/4 inch seam allowance is already there. I am good to go straight to my sewing machine. I, however, am going to hand piece with these particular units. So now, once I get the mask cut out, I can go sit in my easy chair, I can go sit at a table with my sandboard and my pencil, and on each one I can take my pencil, make my registration marks, mark in my seam allowances, and I'm good to go. But what I have saved is I have saved the time of tracing all the way around, cutting with my scissors each piece individually, and I've sped up the production of making this block by using the rotary cutter. So that's if your piece is symmetrical. But what if you're not symmetrical? Here we have a piece of fabric. If I were to put this template right side up, and you know it's right side up because I can read the letters. The letters say T20. I know you may not be able to see that on the video. If I put this right side up on the back side of my fabric, by the time I cut that out, the piece, I cut it out like this, but the piece is actually going to be in this direction. So you have to be very careful when you have an asymmetrical, a left or a right, a template one reverse, if you're using both directions in your block, of how you stack your fabrics. If I am doing, sometimes if you want to make sure it's right side up, you make sure your template is right side up on the right side of the fabric, and you know that's what you're going to get. But if you cut right side up on the front side of the fabric, if you cut wrong side up on the back side of the fabric, you're going to end up with two of the same piece. So you have to think this through. If you are cutting a left and a right of the same piece of fabric, you can fold it over, lay your template on there, cut all the way around, and you will get a left and a right. So if you're doing two of the same fabric and you need a left and a right, fold your fabric, put your template on there, and it really doesn't matter because you're going to get the opposites. If you are mass cutting and you want every one of them to be different, you can stack your fabrics right side up, right side down, right side up, right side down. Now if I put my template on there, again, it doesn't matter. I am going to get two that are on the left and two that are on the right, because I have stacked them this way. So it doesn't really matter whether you cut from the back or the front, you just have to keep track of where you are, whether you're cutting lefts or right. If you're cutting from the back, you're going to get the mirror image. If you're cutting from the front, it's going to be the piece. If you're cutting from the front, it's going to be the direction that you cut it. Clear as mud? Anyway, I'm not trying to confuse you, but I do want you to think about when you are rotary cutting your templates, if there is a direction, pay attention to which direction your fabric is, pay attention to which direction your template is, so that you'll know if you're going to end up with a mirror image or not. Again, this is Susan Allen from the Quilt Asylum in McKinney, Texas, and this has been using templates for rotary cutting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.